Okay, this episode is brought to you by Lucoran and Lucoran AI Solutions. We help accounting and law firms who are struggling with lead generation, client support, document automation so they can improve efficiency and reduce errors. So, most of the time, our clients come to us frustrated because they're spending too much time on repetitive tasks. But the right strategy and support, they are able to start focusing on growth. If that sounds like you or someone you know, check us out at lucorn.ai. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Today, we have in Accounting in the Future, we have Paula Puyana. She's the founder of Skyline Tax and Accounting. She's a certified public accountant with over 20 years of expertise in accounting between the US and Brazil. Welcome, Paula.
Thank you so much for having me, Isabella.
Perfect. So, can you share a bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture at Skyline?
Sure. I founded Skyline focus on simply delivering the best tax planning and accounting services uh, possible. I really treat each client unique, so I understand their needs, develop tailored strategies, and it has been a wonderful experience. Throughout my career, my first 10 years were in Brazil as the CFO of a consulting firm. Then I moved to the US 10 years ago to learn more about software and automation within finance.
Mm,
And I've been helping individuals and businesses of different sizes with all sorts of different tax and accounting complexities. And yes, so it has been a great journey,
mhm.
and each case is unique. So I'm really happy to be here and share a little bit about my experience and some tips about in best practices within taxation and finance.
Perfect. So, I understand that you specialize in foreign accounting. Would you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I've been helping lots of international clients. So because one important concept is that anyone living in the US for more than half a year is considered a US person for tax purposes. So even if they're not a citizen or a green card holder yet, they still have this obligation to file taxes here. And if they're earning income in any other country, they must report it here. But something that a lot of people don't know is that even if they're not generating income elsewhere, if they simply have a bank account with more than $10,000, they must report the FBAR with the FinCEN. And if they have above $50,000, they must report the FATCA, which is Form 8938 in their regular tax return. And the penalties for not filing FBAR and FATCA are up to $10,000 per violation per year. And it really adds up. So unfortunately, many of my clients, they come with these complexities where they have penalties and they haven't complied this kind of or either other types of reporting. So it's everything can be adjusted. It's just important to take action and avoid accumulating penalties, interest.
Okay.
Okay. Also,
Perfect. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
Yes, sure. So, I mean, there's so much to talk about this topic. Also,
Mhm.
for companies, if you're here, even Americans, if you open a business abroad, there's so many Americans that want to invest in other parts of the world, so they have to comply with some filing regulations, such as Form 5471, which is for owners of foreign corporations. And if they have a C Corp here, but some of the owners are foreigners, then there is the Form 5472. And this is important not just for compliance, but also to prevent double taxation. And I've seen a lot, believe it or not, some people are paying taxes twice.
Mm-hmm.
So the way to avoid double taxation is
It's
more
bringing
generally,
you in. The way to avoid double tax, yeah, avoid
Yeah.
double taxation is bringing you in.
Yes, exactly, exactly. It's to having exactly advisory,
Mm-hmm.
preparing all the correct forms. There is something called the foreign tax credits. And what I do is not only to decide if you just should take advantage of the credit, but also if that shouldn't be considered a deduction. So the strategy comes in play where you compare different scenarios. So how are we going to um, optimize your entity structuring for the best financial outcomes and to stay protected and compliant with the law.
I see. I see.
Mhm.
So, what would you say? I mean, what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now? I mean, it did mention before when we had the phone call about the big, beautiful bill, and how has that impacted your business or your growth strategy?
Yes. So we had the big beautiful bill comes with many different rules. So that's why it's important to consult with a CPA because many times you people research information online that is outdated or they just watch a video on social media, but they just see like 1% of what the whole context includes. So there are many variables. And nowadays everything is growing towards using AI
Mm-hmm.
to optimize analysis, obviously. So what I do is I always add each client's financial situation within my software. I work with Thomson Reuters, which is the best software in the market in the US. So it can really expose areas of concern and suggest the best strategies for that individual or business. And the same goes with the IRS. So a lot of people are excited that there's have been so many layoffs in the IRS. I think like $20,000, 20,000 people have been let go from the IRS recently.
Right.
But that does not mean that they're going to be auditing less necessarily. They're just using more of AI and technologies to improve their processes, and they don't need to deal with paperwork as much as before. So they don't need so much staff in these
Mhm.
roles anymore.
So they have automated most of their
Okay.
work basically, and they don't need as many employees. That's basically what is
Mhm.
happening, but they're not letting go of auditing any of the businesses. So,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
And what would you say in your business that's working well for you right now, and what's been frustrating?
What's working well is the collaboration with clients. I believe that people really want to be informed,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of CPAs they think that they should just complete their job and leave the person in the dark, and it's okay because they're not bothering them with this sort of information. But I noticed that when I share why we're taking some decisions, when I explain some of the line items in their tax forms, it it's this education is so helpful for them. So they can continue doing what they're doing right or stop
Mm-hmm.
doing something they're doing wrong. But just this, I feel that it's also a way to get information back from them. So when you open this communication to explain them about taxes, about laws, and to hear their feedback. So why are they not doing something? Or and so it really makes like optimize our outcomes. If I just get your documents and fill out your taxes, there's so much we can do. But when we develop a conversation, we
Mm-hmm.
can get so far. And I've got like Many times, like refunds from previous years, from previous accountants, just because there was lack of communication and things were filed wrong. And then I start cleaning the past and getting some of that money back to my clients.
Hmm. So you do a whole throughout discovery process, you would say, right? You take them through a discovery process to see exactly what's happening, what's helping them and what's not, and even going back in the past and being able to pull some funds from there, which is
Hmm.
great.
Yes, there's so much that can be done with one client. So we shouldn't limit just to that service that brought them to the door, but there's always a way to expand. And obviously, the best we deliver, it will it will make sure that the person will continue working with me for
Mm-hmm.
the next years. And so far, my years working in this field, I've never had a client leave. And that's because I really hold their hand and
Mm.
they really feel safe with me because they know that I am by their side. I'm not by the IRS side.
Right, right.
Right.
Well, and it has to do with the strategies you use as well. Like how you mentioned document automation and little things that just improve your process, that speed up your process as well. Correct.
Exactly, because there's so many firms out there that they want to save on software costs, or staff, or they just try to cut corners. But at the end of the day, they end up having more work because then they have to manually work with so much data. It's way more time consuming. So obviously, my software is the most expensive there is.
Mm-hmm.
But it saves me so much time and the accuracy is unbelievable. Like what they developed today with AI is out of this world. And that's actually the reason why I moved from Brazil to the US because I was always fascinated how ahead the US is in terms of technology in every sense, not only accounting, of course.
Right, because then you can actually focus on growth. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
can actually focus on growth. Okay. And so, where would you say you want your company to be the next 6 or 12 months from now?
So definitely expanding the our tax planning solutions. A lot of people need it. So converting my tax filing clients into tax planning clients as well. Also converting them into bookkeeping clients as well because many times they just rely on a person they know, maybe a family member that has a little bit of experience with QuickBooks, and then it becomes a little bit more complicated because they don't see how important it is to really keep up with your business activity throughout the year and see what you should be doing. So if you're earning a lot of profit, maybe it's time to invest. But if sometimes if we get into that conclusion by the end of the year or worse, in the following year, then the tax year is gone and there's nothing else to be done to save on taxes. So bookkeeping is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think it's boring, the same as taxes, but
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're here.
Right, to take
You
off
know,
the load, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's
to take off
exactly
the
what you do.
load.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
I like how you mentioned how, it's best to bring you in as they are going through the year and having the profit than at the end of the year, because at the end of the year it makes more difficult for them to offset that profit, correct? But if you are
Mhm.
on board from the very beginning there, then you can advise them what would be the best strategy of investment and things of the nature so that they can keep more of their earned money.
Exactly. Or sometimes they are pretty much hiring their family member. They have a family member working for them and they're paying their expenses, let's say, but they never registered that family member as an employee, for example. And then at the end of the year, or in the following year, we talk and I'm like, why haven't you documented that you have been paying this person pretty much in exchange for a service? Now we
Mm-hmm.
cannot take that deduction. So there's a lot of confusion, and people kind of get afraid when it's something personally related that maybe they shouldn't do, or I shouldn't register my wife as my employee or hire my little daughter. Sometimes she's doing something related to marketing, if the person is on social media, for example. So it's very, there's so much that can be done. That's why it's so important for me to study case by case and
Mm-hmm.
and be there on time. And I always tell everyone, let's start your tax planning as soon as possible. Let's not leave for last minute, because people tend to only think of taxes around April every year. So I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
try to educate everyone to be like, let's start now. And what I do actually, which is something that is pretty uncommon, is that I don't charge anything ahead of time. So there is no retainer for my
Oh,
services.
wow. Okay.
Yes, which is very uncommon. Like I only charge after I file the returns, or if it's in case of tax planning, just a year after we start working together. So you get like a year of kind of like free service,
Mm-hmm.
and without any commitment. And every time after a year or after I file, it's funny how my clients are always chasing me and say, "Where do I pay you? I haven't paid you," because they're
Mm.
so happy with the outcomes, and that's so rewarding.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's yeah, I speak with a lot of accountants, especially through this podcast, and I have not heard of anyone that does not apply a retainer. So it's like you're getting basically free advice on how to save more at the end of the year instead of waiting till the end of the year. So throughout the
Yes.
year, you're getting free advice on that, and then you just charge when it's time for them to file the taxes.
Yes, I am so confident of my work that I know
Mhm.
that they will be happy to pay me at the end.
Mhm.
Versus if I would charge it at first, I can't show them anything. I can't do anything in just one conversation. They can see so little of what I can do. But once I
Mm.
show the results, when they get refunds or when they get their tax bill extremely minimized, or even just start getting organized, um, it they get really excited.
Mhm. I bet. I
Yes,
bet.
yes.
Okay. Well, if you, and that's a more of a general question as far as in the accounting realm, if you could solve one major challenge today, what would that be?
One major challenge
And that would
is,
be in a general question.
well, I believe people are not tracking their documentation um, as they should. For example, mileage. There's some free apps nowadays for vehicles, for cars,
Mm-hmm.
free apps that can track um, the mileage you've driven for work purposes. And that's just so simple, right? And that could make such a big difference when filing the return, because we would know exactly how many miles to account for, and obviously compare if we should use the mileage method or actual method to deduct vehicle expenses. Uh, and obviously, in terms of an audit, so if a client is audited, the IRS will want to see receipts, and the lack of this is organization, and people like really they have access, they have so many business related expenses, and they just forget to document. So and that would be great for their organization as well. So there are some free apps out there that do that help with this tracking. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something that I would recommend. Also, obviously, If someone works with me, our clients, they have a portal and they can submit all
Mhm.
their documentation there. So obviously for my clients it's easier because they can just upload everything they want there and we organize it for them. So they don't have to worry about it at all.
Right. But you
Yeah.
did mention to me that you actually get information straight from the government agencies as well, correct?
Yes, yes, that's true. That's something that a lot of accountants they don't do. Actually, I believe you need to be a CPA to have this type of information because yeah, because of the forms we apply on behalf of our clients. But once we request a power of attorney, right? We can get everything that is within the IRS records on behalf of our clients, and that helps a lot with reconciliations during tax filings to avoid any over-reporting or under-reporting. Because,
Mhm.
like I told you, nowadays everything is pretty much AI based. So the
Mhm.
system has those tax records on file, and they expect that to be reported by the client. If we match that, we're good. It's very simple. So it's just like a little step into really getting to the IRS and uploading this documentation
Mhm.
for the client, or guiding them on how to obtain that.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you say you actually help your clients if they were to get audited? Do you also offer those services?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Um, uh, I've some of my clients, they came from audits, not audits from the work I've done because I minimize any red flags.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, those who raised red flags in the past, and it is, as you can see, it's just things that could be avoided. It's
Mhm.
so avoidable to get into an audit.
It's just
Um,
lack of knowledge. Wouldn't you say that? It's just lack of knowledge or the right
yes.
person by their side.
Yes, I've seen cases where people they haven't filed their W-2. Like obviously, if you're getting a W-2,
Yeah.
the IRS will expect you to report that. And even though there are withholdings from W-2, you have to report. You cannot just say some people they are reporting withholdings but not reporting their revenue. And so it's just um and then sometimes like missing on deductions. So they're I don't know what are the strategies used out there by other CPAs,
Mhm.
but it's just that there's no reason to be cutting corners and putting the client into a very difficult and situation in the future where it's going to take not only their money but their time. It's really time consuming to be dealing with an audit. So the damage is so big while there are so many ways and especially now with the new big beautiful bill, which has so many tax advantages for business owners, for example.
Mhm.
So I encourage my clients just to take advantage of that. And if they want to minimize their taxes, they can as much as they want. They get to a point where we have to decide if they actually want to invest and reduce their taxes so much to the point that they might not even be able to get a loan or a mortgage, um, because of their previous tax returns. So there's a lot to be taken into consideration. Is it really worth to be so aggressive and risky in when filing your taxes?
Mhm.
You know.
Would you say that the average person, well, the average business owner, I don't believe that the average business owner is aware of all of the incentives that the big beautiful bill has brought in, correct? I
Mhm.
mean, I believe that you, as an accountant, as a CPA, would be able to elaborate more on that because it's more specific for different types of businesses as well, correct?
Yes, yes. Each business has its own rules. That's why it's really important to determine if someone should be choosing a C Corp or a pass-through. Um, Sometimes, like, people say, "Oh, so what kind of entity you have?" I ask, and they say, "Oh, I have an LLC." When an LLC today can be any type of entity. It can be a sole prop, an S Corp, a partnership, C Corp. It depends on the way you choose to be
Structure.
taxed.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and it's interesting how they've been working with CPAs for years, but they never get access to this basic information. And so from the type of entity, and that's why when I use AI, I show like different scenarios where, okay, so if you develop this within this type of entity, you will get this uh, amount in tax savings versus that. And obviously everything updated to the new one big beautiful bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I see. Okay. Well, I would say I would say that the average person, right, the average business owner, they usually just look at whatever money they can save. And what would you say for the business owners that are using, for example, just QuickBooks to file their own taxes? Like the ones that are, well, we'll just say, like, the ones that are independent, they just say, I don't want to spend money on working with someone. I can just file my own taxes using software, free software like Free Tax USA for my business. What would you say to that?
Well, you can definitely miss out on many opportunities because this type of software, they make it very user-friendly, and
Mhm.
that's why they have so many users. But you don't get to choose what strategy to use. So you're really limited to just like any information. And I mean, it works if your return is really simple and if there is no strategy at all. But if you start adding any sort of complexity, which it's very,
Investments,
yes,
right? Or
in,
even like how you're mentioning foreign investments and um,
exactly.
yeah, if you're
It
an
becomes,
international citizen, that already complicates things where they wouldn't be able to
yeah,
get the
this
best
type of like
strategy.
Free Tax USA won't have this. Yes, so this, most forms that won't even be able to be generated from something like Free Tax USA.
Hmm.
So I've seen also many times because they're missing some forms, especially when you're dealing with retirement accounts, backdoor Roth IRAs. You cannot like work around the software. Because, for example, what I have, I can go into line by line and I can open any tax form available
Hmm.
and really prepare it in the way where my client won't be penalized, for example, for uh, a conversion in one of their retirement accounts. But sometimes when information is added incorrectly, sometimes just by shifting one retirement account to another, if improperly added, it can be considered a distribution, and people end up paying taxes on that, and they don't even know because they sometimes cannot read the tax forms. So
That's a good insight right there.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you in it, and the same goes to some software that prepare like K1s for like S Corps partnerships. These software, like they just ask, I've seen that they just ask a bunch of questions, very generic,
General.
but yeah,
Hmm.
very general questions. You answer those questions that it's most of the time it's open to interpretation, so you don't even know if you're answering the right question, and that will magically populate the form for you. And there's just like no review, and especially if you're not working with that every day and so proficient into like understanding each line and how one thing of because when the return is ready, there's just so many pages that if you're not experienced with that, how are you actually going to know
And
if
how are you gonna read them, right?
how
You won't
you,
be able to read them. Like you won't
yeah.
understand what exactly is happening because you're not proficient in it.
Exactly. Or you can be thinking, oh great, I completed the answers in a way where my tax bill was the lowest possible. I changed my answers and now everything's great.
Hmm.
But the person could be making big mistakes and it's just like more risky.
Right. Okay. I
Mhm.
understand. And as we were talking about, companies, you did mention to me that you help clients create entities as well, right? LLC, S corps, and there's a flat fee for that, right?
Yes, yes. So I work with flat fees because I some clients they need more meetings than others. I just want to be available as much as possible to really resolve my clients' questions and issues. So I work on a flat fee basis. There are no surprises. So for example, for just like an entity opening, my fees are about like $500. If it's something more complex, like structuring a combination of LLCs with when there are like activity between each company, or if there is a holding, or if there is a trust, obviously that goes more to like a few $1,000s
Hmm.
for something more complex, especially with international activity as well. And for my tax planning services, annually, they're about $1,500, the starting price.
Oh, wow. That's very
Yeah.
affordable. Yeah.
Yes, it's really affordable. And for the filings per return, it starts at $500 per filing.
Hmm.
And yes, and then it really depends. It's just like to give a general idea of our fees. And it's just v- going to really depend on that client's complexity and their needs and the time that will be necessary to be dedicated.
Right. Right. Because you do have the whole personalized approach. That's why. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
That's it.
perfect. Well, Paula, thank you so much for all your insights. As always, AI is changing businesses, and anyone that wants to get in touch with you, what would be the best way to get in touch with you? What is your company's website, your email, or how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website is skyline-cpa.com. And I post educational videos regularly on our Instagram, which is at Ask Your CPA.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and if you look for Paula Puyana, you can also easily find me. Uh,
Okay, on LinkedIn, correct?
on LinkedIn, yes, as
Okay,
well.
perfect. Thank you so much, Paula.
Thank you so much, Isabella. It was really nice talking to you.